now. We're live.
Welcome, everyone, to Around the Shroom. I'm your host, Dawson, here with my co host.
I'm Nathan, finally back, and finally back in the booth with Dawson here. Excited to be here tonight.
Yeah, we've had a couple people subbing in, getting some new blood in the studio, so it's been exciting, but uh glad to have you back in the booth.
Yeah, it's good to be back here. I'm looking forward to what we have to talk about tonight, and I can't wait to see what all in store for us the rest of the season here as we head into the semifinals of the playoffs.
Absolutely. But before we get into that, as always, quick shout out to our sponsors, Lil BJ's, longtime sponsor of the program, Rosalina's, Waluigi's Daycare, uh, that's Donkey's delicious desserts, and of course, the Toadworth Foundation.
Yeah, all great places. If you have any needs that fall into any of these areas, for any of these sponsors, I would recommend heading on down to any one of these. Link in the bio. You can find them on our website too with all their contact information. Um, great community to be around, and yeah, check them out when you get the chance.
I mean, especially with some rumblings of what's coming in season 4, potential for some new sponsors. So if anybody's looking to get sponsored ahead of the season 4 league, just make sure you hit us up as well. But that being said, I think it's time we head to our next first segment.
Yeah, first segment up here is going to be the keys to the playoffs for each one of these teams going into the semifinals round or semifinal round. And just to give a quick little recap of last week, we had Fury who beat Pipe Dream in a 6-4 victory, walking it off there in the end. And then you have the Warp Zone Warriors who laid an absolute BTA on the Royals to move on, and now they're looking down the barrel at the Critter Crew. So that's our matchups for tonight. But looking at it, Dawson, let's get right into this and let's talk about what the keys to the playoffs are for each one of these teams.
Absolutely. I think each of these teams all bring such a unique energy, unique combination of players, unique identity into each of their matchups. I mean, they each have gotten here. I mean, they've claimed their way here. I mean, some roads have been more difficult than others. I mean, see the Warp Zone Warriors and Fury. Uh, but you still have to point and look at Heat and Crew for earning their way all the way here into those auto bids. But these four have claimed to be the four best teams left. And it's been a little bit of a Thunderdome as teams have all beaten up on each other. It's really interesting to see who is all left here. I think some were a little shocked to see uh, really this combination, maybe not individual teams, but this combination of teams as we, especially looking off at the very beginning of the season whenever we were making our early predictions.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on it, but I think this is an interesting scenario that we have here where you kind of have unintentionally both conferences divided up on either side of the bracket. So in this case, no matter what, there will be a Western and there will be an NES team making it to the finals, which is, I think, the first time we've had that chance to happen in the league. So, both of these teams or both of these sides of the bracket looking to prove dominance over the other, and not just for themselves holding up the trophy at the end, but also to say that which conference is truly better. But yeah, I mean, getting into it, I'm just gonna start with the Critter Crew. I think the keys to their playoff is just they gotta ride and they gotta be as consistent as they were in the regular season. I think the biggest thing for them is that they are they're relying on Mii's, and they have a lot of Mii's surrounding the Critters and King K, and so they just need those Mii's to continue to play and continue to do as well as they can. in the playoffs, and like I said, just continue doing what they did in the regular season.
Absolutely. I think that nail on the head right there. They've been among the most consistent teams, but I think the absolute key for them in this playoffs, ultimately, it's going to come down to one thing, and that's pitching. And can their pitching hold up? Their offense has probably been one of the most consistent, in that they will always give you between 5 and 8 points, a consistent 5 and 8 through almost every single game they played this season. It's just whenever they're playing against this mammoth offense, this high potential offense, can their pitching stick up? And as a result, can their defense stick up? We know that they have a great defense. They're one of the best defensive units in the league, if not the best. But does it matter if the Warp Zone Warriors just explode for 9 runs in the second inning, as they showed us against the Royals? So it's a long game. 9 innings is a lot, and this team doesn't necessarily have the best depth. So we're just going to have to see if this me can stay on the mound, if Skylar can stay on the mound for a really long time, if they can rotate into Luigi and not lose the extreme that just that great defense by mixing it up, because you've got Green Kamek coming in as third, so after that, the wheels can fall off very quickly.
Yeah, they definitely got to rely on that. But I think with all that said, I have to ask you which player you think you think Critter Crew needs to rely on most here, and who is going to be holding the keys in this playoff run that they have ahead of them.
I think I see what this section is actually about now. It's Red Critter holds the key. It's the defense. If the Red Critter, that second base defense, if it just doesn't hold up, this has been the hole that teams have been able to exploit, is the errors coming from that second base side. Critter has been an absolute unit over there at shortstop, and that's not really what I'm concerned about. And I don't think Critter's having a single error this season. Red Critter has given up a few, and especially in key moments. I just think Red Critter, if he plays his best game offensively, he's terrifying. Defensively, just play your play your best game. I think that's what you need to see out of Red Critter, and that's going to define whether this team wins or loses.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree that Red Critter is a pretty big part of this, but I would argue, kind of to your point, like what you were saying about pitching, I think Skylar might be the biggest key, and being able to survive on the mound for 4 or 5 innings so that Luigi has a much smaller window of pitching coming in. I think that's going to be the biggest key factor in all of this. I mean, if he comes off in the first or second inning, it's pitching depth is going to be tough. They're going to have to fight through Luigi, who's a pretty good pitcher, but once he comes off the mound, I mean, then they're going to start struggling with Kamek, and then who comes in after a Kamek. So I definitely think that Skylar is going to be the biggest key for the Critter Crew here, and just pitching a solid start of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that our two key holders go hand in hand. I really think so.
All right. Well, moving on to Warp Zone Warriors. I mean, as far as you can see, what is their major key to the playoff?
I mean, this has been offense, offense, offense. They've beaten Slug and Heat in a game 19-2 earlier this season. I mean, that's a huge win, a huge chip that they have over all three of the other two teams here left in the playoffs. That neither of them have been able to beat Heat. So in 3 games, so that's that offense that they showed us 35-5 against the Royals. I mean, just absolutely dominant. And this has just come off of the backs of their great team offense that whenever they're able to elevate, they're just so difficult to stop. And I got to shout out, it's really just, it's hard for me to pick one because the offense comes from all over. But it's between Blue Critter and Boomerang, bro. I think those are your two key holders. If either one of them is able to light up a scoreboard, then that's going to be the reason why this team is able to elevate.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of said it best. I think offense is their biggest priority after the during the trade deadline, um, and they're heading out. I think you know if I had to pick one of their major keys, if they're going to make this playoff run to the national title, it's going to be limiting the errors. I mean, we saw them early in the season with Brown Critter. Kind of struggling out there on second base with making a few errors. They played the Wigglers and he let them score 7 runs in 1 inning because I think he had 3 errors in 1 inning. And they're an improved team now, so with a little bit different pitching, a little bit more depth and everything. But I think just limiting those errors and just I guess locking down the defense as a whole is going to be their biggest key. And I think kind of with that, I think Brown Critter is going to be my key, my holder of the keys for them because he has been a little bit hit or miss this season where he'll be on one game and then the next game he just is struggling out there, making errors, not really hitting well. So I think Brown Critter is going to be the biggest key for them.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, like this is just a team that absolutely elevated in a wild card. Like we've never seen them elevate in the postseason, and they finally did. So like they shut up a lot of the haters with that. But you still have to go back and look at. I mean, their last loss was against this Critter Crew team when they lost 5-4. Like so, they just got neutered offensively. Uh, but I mean, they're sitting on a 3-game win streak where they've scored 13, 13, and 35. So I mean, they're doing pretty good. It's they're doing good in the moments, but you're going to go up against a great defense for the first time in a little while. And, well, I mean, barring the Royals explosion, it's hard to count that as a good defense, as some of in the chat have been pointing out. Um, but I think, I mean, it's Boomerang Bro, Brown Critter, Blue Critter. I think it's those pieces, your middle infielders who have the great defensive talents. It's just not them dropping to a point where we've seen this with the Warriors before, where Brandon in season 1, I forget who in season 2, but Brown Critter could be the one in season 3, but I just hope not.
Yeah. Well, moving on to Slug and Heat. I curious to see what you think, but I think one of their biggest keys in this season is just going to be finishing out. I mean, it might be a little bit of an obvious thing, but finishing the series, finishing the games, not getting ahead of themselves, not getting too excited too early. As we know, last season they came out, and they beat up on the Wigglers in the first 2 games in the finals, and then dropped 3 in a row. And I think the biggest thing for them is just going to be finishing out, and just finishing the series and making sure that they're not getting too relaxed too early. And I think that goes not just for the finals, but also or not just the series, but also in each game. Not getting relaxed in the fifth, sixth inning, and just like I said, finishing it out.
I I think that's a good point. I think that this is an opportunity for them that like they expect to be in the finals at this point. This is a team that has always been there as far as this league has existed. So, you got to make sure you do the little things right first because you're playing a Fury team that is has and will take advantage of mistakes. So, you have to bring your A game, especially with looking at what that game 2 uh, for Fury, what that could be if everything goes right. So, but I want to bring up one point. In their last 5 games, they've scored 2, 8, 8, 27, and 2. So they've lost 2 of those games, one against Fallout Boys and the other against the Warriors. The Warriors being a huge offensive output and then balancing it with the 27 runs against the Wigglers. I mean, they beat Fury by 3. They beat the Pipe Dream by 4. So, I mean, this isn't a team that is typically scoring a ton of runs. I mean, beyond that 27-run game, they haven't scored more than 10 all season. So it's just interesting to see that whenever they play the very worst team in the league, sorry for you Wiggler fans out there, they're able to explode in a way nobody else in this league did. But in all of those other games, these were low scoring affairs. It really is their defense that clamps up for them and is their biggest strength. Whenever you look at this team, just top to bottom, I mean, Dixie Kong roving around in center field is lethal, especially whenever she receives a star. I know in this first one, Pink Yoshi will be getting the star, so that gives you that second base defense, elevates it a little bit. But you really are going to be leaning in on those offenders to really play to their performance. And I mean, I think really it's going to come down to Funky Kong. Is Funky Kong going to be able to elevate either beyond or just play on par with DK? I mean, he has played like like a demon. I mean, absolutely. I mean, he won MVP over what many would say is a better player on his own team, but he's just elevated both on the mound, coming in playing shortstop. He's done really well with. I mean, in this game, it's just can he stay on the mound? Can he eat up a lot of innings, keep Fury off the board as long as possible? And whenever he eventually comes out, playing some great defense out there and just keeping the offense churning. So, I mean, I think if you score 8 runs in this game, in that first game, I think that's road to victory. I think just limit the damage in game 2, try to put yourself in the best situation to win with starred Bowser, and then just if game 3 comes out, just same thing. Just keep working hard and just keep trying to win these games.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree that Funky is the key to this second Heat. I think he had a great season getting MVP, and I think he's got to continue that. He's got to continue playing great on the mound and continue hitting well. And I mean, he has been a player that has played great without even receiving a lot of the stars in each game. So I think if he can continue to do that, if he can carry that momentum and continue to ride that, I think Slug and Heat is going to be just fine against the Fury. So, but yeah, with all that said, I mean, moving on to our last team here, the Fury. I think my biggest key to this game is, and you touched on it with Slug and Heat a little bit, but I think for the Fury, it's even more of a case where they have to score runs, they have to hit the ball. And I think that they have been struggling a little bit with that lately. I mean, if you look at their last, like what you pointed out with Slug and Heat, if you look at their last 3 to 4 games, they scored 6, they scored 8, they scored 0, and then they scored 6 again. And so I think the biggest thing for them is just going to be scoring those runs and trying to separate their lead without keeping the game super close, and just pulling away from the team that they're playing. And I think that's the biggest thing for them going into this series and going into, I guess, the rest of the bracket here, is that getting runs and generating those hits is going to be the biggest key for them.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you. I mean, it really has to come down to playing when it matters, and we've seen that. I mean, we've seen this Fury do that this season. I mean, they have wins over Critter Crew and Warp Zone Warriors, both of those being pretty close. Critter Crew that ended up being, let me check my notes, ended up being a 1-run win, 3-2, and then the Warriors 12-11. So they've been able to score a bunch when it matters, and then play the defense when it matters. So ultimately, against the Slug and Heat team, the one team they haven't beat, I mean, you've got to put the runs on the board. Slug and Heat is not an offensive based team. They're clearly a defensive based team. So you just have to apply the pressure. And I think that starts top down. I mean, you just need to see Bowser elevate in a way we really haven't seen beyond individual games this season. And Bowser being my key holder.
Yeah, I mean, you said it great. I think I guess for Fury, they can definitely finish off the games. They know how to do that, and they know how to win in those clutch situations, as you would expect from Bowser. But I think conversely to Bowser, I think he's honestly been great for this team, and I want to say the biggest thing I've noticed is that he is one of the reasons why they have scored runs, because of his home run ability and his ability to just knock in those runs. I think my biggest key player for them is going to be Hammer Bro. And I think the main reason why is not just defensively, locking down over on shortstop, but also being able to be the alternate Bowser, hitting home runs and hitting those runs in whenever it matters the most. And I think Hammer Bro is going to absolutely be the key to kind of clearing the bases before Bowser comes up to hit. So,
Well, there are our 8 key holders. I'm the only one that I would say might make sense is Dixie Kong for that Slug and Heat team. I mean, whenever she plays poorly, got to shout out our team in the back for bringing note to it. Whenever Dixie plays poorly, that's whenever Slug and Heat loses. So I'll actually switch mine since you have Funky already there. But I mean, it's a good point. Dixie is the heart and soul of that outfield, and if she's not performing, Slug and Heat's not going to get it done.
yeah, I agree. I mean, Dixie as another key player, another potential holder of the keys. But I think we'll have to wait and find out later tonight as to which one of these players is actually going to step up and do their job. So, but moving on to our next segment, looking past the playoffs now, we're going to look a little bit into each team's projected protected players. So this is essentially going to be us deciding which players we think each one of these teams should maybe or will maybe keep. Maybe each one a little bit differently decided, but yeah, that's going to be. I guess we'll get started with the Wigglers here, looking into it. So I mean, just in general, I mean, who do you think they might be? They might be keeping here.
I think you have to look at the draft lottery and see that they have the very best odds and just kind of lean into it. And I mean, there is, I think, 2 very clear pathways. It's either go bank off of drafting Birdo or bank off of drafting DK. They could go best available and get Bowser if the odds go in their favor, but it really is just they draft that way. I think there's only 2 ways they can go. Were they going to draft the 2 Brown Me's or they're going to draft the 2 Yoshis? I just don't see a way around it. I think that's just the only way that this team is going to be able to find real success pre-draft.
Yeah, I mean I agree. There's conversations to be had about whether they keep Waluigi. The GM has at times outspoken his disdain for Waluigi. But keeping a captain on your board might be a little bit more advantageous down the line. So I mean, I think kind of like you said, I think he either goes with the Brown Me's or the Yoshis. And I think both deals are pretty enticing, especially for GM James. On one end, he's, you know, kind of a vindicator in a sense, looking to kind of steal the thunder of other players in the league, which is why I think he might go DK. And then on the other side of things, the enticement to Birdo, sometimes referred to as the sucky sucky, is on the board and not off the table, if you will. So, I mean, it's a 50-50, but I think for the sake of how well the Slug and Heat team has been able to do with DK, I think he might take the Brown Me's and go with the DK team.
I think that's brutal for any team that's looking to have Brown chemistry. Then, but I think I'll tend to agree. So that would be Tay, and that would be Vivesh joining the Wigglers in the next season, and that is totally has to be a DK, must be DK in the lottery in the draft. So might see him draft up on his way up. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I think, I think he has plenty of options, like you said, being the best odds in the lottery. He's got really his way with what he wants to do. So, um, yeah. Moving on to the Fall Out Boys. I'll just go ahead and start. I mean, I think the clearest keep is probably going to end up being Bowser Jr. here. I mean, it's just the easiest choice for him. I think my other option is either going to be a Paratroopa or the Spivey, the Black Me.
I actually lean more Cooper the Quick, just with how versatile that chemistry is. But I could see Spivey. I think the Paratrooper isn't valuable enough on his own. If you were able to get 2 Paratroopers, I think it could make sense. But just since only one, I think it's just better just to go with one of those 2.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess Cooper the Quick. I didn't see him down there on his bench because I really haven't seen him play in a while. Um, but yeah, like you said, I guess like you said, the versatility of Cooper the Quick is going to be pretty essential, especially for a Fallout Boys team looking with the second best odds in the draft, looking to try to get Bowser off of the board. Um, I think yeah, Cooper the Quick makes the most sense here, uh, outside of Spivey. So I have to agree with you on that one, and that's a pretty easy pick, I think, for the Fallout Boys. So
Yeah, moving into the Royals, I'm just thinking it's going to be the Piantas. I think it's hard to overthink this. Either that or, well, sorry. First off, is going to be Daisy. Daisy is going to be clearly the number one. I don't think there's a way you can just let Daisy go unless you're trying to completely rebrand the team. And whenever you have fourth best odds in the draft, it's just that's not tenable. So I would certainly say Daisy's got to be the number one, and then I would probably lean Red Pianta ahead of the Kim changes that are coming.
yeah, I think Red Pianta makes the most sense at that second point. I agree. Daisy is I think the number one keep here. Go ahead and keep that captain and just a good player, solid player all around. With pitching, a great fielding stat to play the middle infield if she has to, and doing that. But I think looking at the other ones, I mean, it comes down to red or yellow Pianta. There's a chance I could see him trying to keep the Toads, maybe trying to keep one of the Toads and forming another Toad outfield, trying to draft Toadette in the draft and snipe her. But I think the offensive value that the Piantas give you is a little bit more valuable with their versatility and being able to hit power shots and singles all the time. So I think Red Pianta is probably the clearest choice here. Just keeping him and being able to Kim with the most common color around the league.
I think especially whenever you think about how valuable Piantas have become as as middle infielders. I mean, I think that automatically locks up a middle infield before you even enter draft day. It certainly wouldn't be the best, but that's still pretty talented middle infield already with Daisy and Red Pianta.
Yeah. Well, moving on over to Pipe Dream. I think the first one you already have typed in there. I think Peter is probably the clearest keep in this entire of all the teams here. I think outside of that, I think there's a couple of different routes to go. He could go with the Wiggler route, which would just be keeping the PD Wiggler. He could go a King Boo route, which is a potential here to kind of combine with PD and go with a more power offense, making sure to keep that. But um, I think the only other situation is potentially going with Wario to keep just a captain on the team. But uh, that's probably my least likely scenario in this case.
I think Wigla has brought too much value out of that center field position and has played just so well this season. I just don't see anybody but Wigla just to pair up with Peter.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. That's the most, in my opinion, the most likely situation here. So, um, but looking at Warzone Warriors, who do you have off of the top?
I think there's two options. You either going to go the blue chemistry route or you're going to go to the Mario pathway. Uh, I mean, you totally could go Mario Yoshi. That would be extremely interesting if that was chosen. It just doesn't seem like that would make a ton of sense, to be honest, to go keep both of them. I mean, it's totally on the table. I think it's something that possibly not even we didn't even think about. Is it only one captain kept? I couldn't remember. I think it's only one captain kept.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so then that ignore that. So then like it could be like boomerang. Oh, it's not boomerang, bro. It's like blue boner and blue pianta, maybe. I think Mario blue pianta just is the most simple.
Yeah, I think yeah, Mario Blue Pianta is definitely the simplest, the easiest route to go. Especially because they traded to go get Mario this year, and I think that they would want to keep that and get use out of him. Outside of that, I could see them potentially just keeping the talent of a brown critter, just having that talent and maybe trading it away later for something different. But I think Mario Blue Pianta, in my opinion, is probably the most likely here, just to lock down the solid solid offense, pretty good defense, and just keeping that Kim and building off of that. So
I certainly would. The Warp Zone Warriors. I mean, that's thematic, isn't it?
yeah. Well, I guess moving on to the Fury here. I think there's probably one of the clearer options here in Diddy Kong. I think Diddy Kong just makes the most sense. I mean, he's a captain. He can be kept this season. He doesn't have to be dropped. So um, I think just keeping that his ability on the field. And then outside of that, I'm not certain as to what the second player would be. Are they able to keep Hammer Bro?
They are.
In that case, I think just talent wise, I think Hammer Bro is just probably the easiest option for them. Just keeping that what they
Yeah,
know. So
I would tend to agree. I mean, because you can't keep either of the bones. I think that's just going to be tough. You could see a Koopa flag going, but just because this seems like a team going away from that style of play, uh, I just I just think it's so difficult to see them going with anybody but Hammer Bro. Just I mean that middle infield and offensive talent is just to hard to hard to pass up.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's one of the easier keeps I think for the league, for Fury. But moving on to Critter Crew, I think they'll probably just end up keeping a Luigi Critter here. In my opinion, I think they have the green Kim there. They don't have any negative Kim, and I think just talent wise, I mean, Critter is just someone that you can't just let go, especially the season he's been having. And Luigi has been playing well for them, and locks up more of a pitching depth than captain spot. So
I think it's pretty simple. I think they're going to just hope King K falls to them again, and that could just be the start of something terrifying for the Critter Crew. I mean, this is a team that's already pretty scary with Luigi Critter alone. So it looks
yeah,
very similar to that Diddy Kong Hammer Bro, to be honest. Just a
well,
little differently constructed. So
yeah. Well, the last team that we have here, the Sluggin Heat, I think they're in an interesting situation with not being able to keep any of the Kongs except for Tiny Kong here. Uh, they kind of put themselves in this situation by keeping all of them last season. Um, but you can't blame them, and here they are. And I think that they'll end up just keeping Tiny Kong and Peach. Um, so
it's not ideal by any stretch, but I mean, I think there's value in holding Tiny Kong and holding Peach. They could let them go. I just don't think that they're going to find a talent better than them, especially that in where they are in the draft and the captain drafting rules. I mean, do you think you could get a better captain than Peach? If you let Peach go, you're probably just getting Peach back in the first round anyway.
yeah, I think their only other option would be to drop running of Tiny Kong, and drop the Kong team altogether and just lock down like a Pink Me or uh, something like that, and just like letting them go entirely. The other option, if they wanted to try to keep a Kong semblance, they could keep Tiny Kong and Baby DK, and then, like you said, just let Peach go and probably end up getting her in the first round anyway. So that's also another possibility. But I think the most likely scenario is just Peach and Tiny Kong, and then maybe if they want to move off Tiny Kong, using that as value for trade later on.
Well, that's our projected protected. Uh, any thoughts before we move on to our final, our picks up for the night?
Sorry about that. No, I think it's interesting. The fact that we only have two players kept per team. It kind of changes the dynamic of what players can do and kind of the versatility that they can have. They're more or less stuck in, or they're more or less trying to find the most versatile players to add to their roster. So I think we'll have some exciting news coming out in the following weeks after the season concludes as to what players are being kept. So.
With that, let's move on to our final pick'ems. Well, possibly our final for the season. Hopefully, we'll be back for the pre-finals, but our final one that has multiple teams for this season. Got to shout out Tay, who came in and put a pick versed, a pick record of 2-0. Not a totally a little pick the upset with Warp Zone. Dawson did, myself did as well. So that puts me back over 500. So we're back here. Still haven't caught up to the win percentage that Nathan has, but we're doing all right. We're doing all right here.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at the board, I mean, Critter Crew Warp Zone Warriors. I am curious to see who you're leaning, and I think I have an idea, but curious to see what you think.
It's to me, it's the Warp Zone Warriors. I'd lean them that way because of the pitching depth. True, we have never seen Green Kamek touch the mounds. I think that actually is not a good thing because we just haven't seen what that means. I know there's not a ton of stamina there, so if you're leaning on Green Kamek, you're worried about it, especially whenever you're looking at how much depth the Warriors have, uh, just on the other side. So I mean, it doesn't matter if the defense locks up. Uh, we'll have to see. I think the first game and what field is chosen is so pivotal. It's so important that they pick right and they're able to win that first one. I'll talk more about that, especially going into the next series. But it doesn't really matter because the Warriors are going to be able to star a quality player, so it doesn't really matter. It's just, will the Critter Crew be able to elevate in long games? And we've seen them struggle in late games. So, but we've also seen them elevate against this team late game. So we'll just have to see. I lean Warriors just because of the offense that we've been seeing lately. It's just something that Critter Crew has not done this season. They haven't elevated and scored that many runs against anybody. So if the Warp Zone Warriors turn it on, they just need to do it for 2 of the 3 games.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree here. I'm curious, what do you think the series record will be before I get into my prediction?
I think it's a 2-1 series. No matter who wins
Right.
this, it's going to be decided in the 3rd game.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree. I think it's gonna be a 2-1 series. And I think Warps on Warriors is gonna take it. And the main reason being, kind of like you said, is that just explosive offense that they've had lately. Um, if the Critter Crew can shut it down, and if they can find a way to stop it, I think that they might be able to take this series with a 2-1. But I think ultimately the Warp Zone Warriors are going to be able to get it done here. Maybe a little bit. Maybe their defense might struggle a little bit against a Critter Crew team, but I think unfortunately for them, or for the Crew, I think that their Mies might start laying them down a little bit in these longer games with a little bit more inconsistency. So I think at the end of the day, Warp Zone Warriors will take it 2-1. But moving into the Slug and Heat and Fury, I think I'm gonna have to take Slug and Heat 2-0. I think originally I had Fury here being able to take it down 2-1, but then looking back on it, I just think Slug and Heat. Looking back on the games that they've played each other, I think Slug and Heat just has more to them, and I think that they're just going to be able to get it done and kind of squander the Fury, who struggled on offense all season.
I think that's a really interesting pick. I mean, you're trusting history here in a way that we have neither of us trusted history in the previous matchup. Uh, but with that being said, this is tough. This is a tough one, just because it seems like everything's going to be going in Fury's favor in the second game, to the point where it almost feels like this is Fury's game to lose in game 2. That it's going to be a 2-1 series some way somehow. We did see this Slug and Heat overcome that last season against the Fallout Boys in this very same situation, or very similar situation, and just in a close game and the second one just win. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. I think this Fury team is a different caliber of team than that Pipe Dream, Fallout Boys team. Excuse me. So it's going to be a 3-game series no matter what happens. I think Slug and Heat are going to win the first one. I think Fury will win the second. I think we're going to have a game that really isn't that close, and we're going to see Slug and Heat win. I think that there's no way around it. This is just a phenomenal Slug and Heat team. We've seen Fury elevate. I don't think they're going to be able to climb high enough. Where you think it's going to be 2-0, I think it'll be a 2-1 game, but I really don't think any of these games are going to be particularly close.
Yeah, I Yeah, I agree, and I mean, we're looking at two. You know, I guess we're agreeing here. Other than maybe the record, the series record, we're pretty much in agreement on which of these teams we think is going to win. So, um, yeah, Warp Zone and Second Heat in the finals is something that I think a lot of people probably weren't expecting at the beginning of the season, at least in terms of what our predictions say. But I think it's looking at it now, it's very very realistic. So
Absolutely. But with that being said, we're going to be kicking it off to the games. I mean, the games are going to decide it. I mean, we can make all our picks all we want, but ultimately it's just going to be the games and they're going to play them. It's why we play the games. If we were sitting here picking them, then I'd probably be like 6 Fury chips by now. I don't know.
yeah, well, with that said, you got any final thoughts?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing these teams elevate and compete, and hopefully we have a new winner win the league this year. And we'll see what the matchup is headed into it. It's going to be a unique one.
Yeah,
That's guaranteed.
yeah. Next time we talk about this, we'll be talking about the finals matchup. So excited to see it. Can't wait to see what we have in store tonight. But with that said, I've been Nathan.
And I've been Dawson.
This has been Around the Shroom.
Bye.